Yahar! Ahoy there, Heat Nation! It be that time of the year, officially the off season, and we have already out there rumblings, whispers, rumors, fodder, scuttlebutt, everything out there. Instagram likes, Twitter likes, boots on the gram, boots on the tweets, subtweeting, subposting, everything that's out there to see what could possibly be out there as far as the open seas are concerned. Nyahar. And who'll be out there? There'd be a ton of people linked to the Miami Heat. Aye, and there'll be plenty of debate that you have to go through. Who's a whale? Who's an orca? Who's a tuna? Who's a marlin? Who's game fish? What does this even mean? All these things are up for debate out in the entire off season, and what be saying, what the Godfather be going after you were a round away from a championship, a mere 3 wins away before you got jokered off the plank. Now you need to find out what be that final piece that gets you over the top. Breaches, if you will. It's that time of year, baby. It's off-season time. It's orca time. It is all the fodder, all the rumors that are out there. I am excited. Crashing halt to the seasons, the Heat and Panthers, both incredible runs, 8 seeds that got to the finals, both got gentlemen swept. And you're thinking to yourself, the Panthers got some money to play with. The Heat, they got some assets to play with. So what are going to be the deals that are out there that make sense for Miami to get them over the top? And I think that this is an off season where you look at a couple of things for Miami. You know that Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, that is your core. Those are your 2 guys. What are going to be the pieces that you build around those guys? Everybody else is kind of consistent. You got Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, both talking about their free agency a little bit today. And we can get more into them at another time. You have, Haywood Highsmith, who wants a bigger role. He talked about that today. And then you have all the so-called orcas out there. You have all the rumors, the fodder. And Miami's going to be a very popular team. I mean, they're always a popular team when it comes to these rumors. See, last year it was mostly KD and it was mostly Spider Watch that we had to deal with. And this year, you already got a few names out there, mostly in the point guard market, shooting guard market. And the first one that was out there was Damian Lillard. This seems like it has a lot of balls up in the air right now. There was a report from Shams talking about Kyrie Irving, that the Heat made a pitch for Kyrie Irving last year at the trade deadline, which he ultimately ended up in Dallas. And now you have this Bradley Beal situation, which seems to have the most smoke to it right now, especially from the Beal standpoint. They're ready to move on, which is not surprising. I mean, he signed for $1 gazillion. The team's going nowhere. And the thing that's interesting about it with Bradley Beal is he has a full no-trade clause, so he can dictate to go wherever he wants to go. The weird report about this today was that he, his agent, and the new Wizards front office is going to be working together to find his trade destination. But the funny thing about it is it's not like, Bradley Beal will go somewhere and they'll be like, oh, we're going to trade Jimmy Butler for Bradley Beal. He goes, well, I want to go play with Jimmy Butler. So he can kind of negate that trade. And there's a lot of stuff out there. I believe Brian Windhorst reported today that the return on Bradley Beal is not going to be as substantial as most people think, which of course it's not. He makes $1 gazillion and he's hurt all the time. And he is at one point a scoring champion, but has been banged up a lot and certainly hasn't done a whole lot of winning that's an organization that you can look at and say, hey, is it his fault? Is it on Bradley Beal? Is it on the organization or what they put around him? They've put a lot of different stuff around him. None of it has really particularly worked. Had to deal with the whole drama of John Wall's injury for years, while he was kind of the last guy standing, the guy who was out there. So what does Bradley Beal contribute to winning a championship? So if you're the Miami Heat and you look at this, you're looking at yourself, okay, Bradley Beal and this whole situation, what do we have to give up for him? You would think that Tyler Hero, unfortunately for Tyler, who did not speak at media day today, can't blame him. You would think that any of these deals is going to have the centering around the Miami Heat's former 6th man of the year who did not play in this postseason, which, could be looked as a positive or negative as far as his trade value is concerned, because he could have had another bad playoffs and people may have been rats off a ship on Tyler. Now there's the intrigue. He's still 23 years old. What could he be? What could he have provided? I feel like, this past NBA Finals, if they would have been able to get him back, I think that this would have been a series where he could have helped a lot. So you look at him, you look at his age, and you look at his contract number, and it's certainly much more attractive than a Bradley Beal. He doesn't have the accomplishments of Bradley Beal because he hasn't been to an all-star game, as Bradley Beal's been there 3 times. Bradley Beal certainly scored a lot more than him, but Tyler Herro's played on a lot better teams than Bradley Beal. So is that looked upon as an even switch? I will say I do feel like his value has slipped a lot over the last couple of years. You think about the lack of winning that his teams have done. It also just felt to me, this is the one thing that's put me off about Bradley Beal. I'm not against guys getting their money. Go get your money. But it felt like this has kind of been the ruse the whole time with Bradley Beal. Like he never had an intention to stay in Washington. He just wanted to get his guaranteed dollars. Because people have been knocking and calling and waiting for Bradley Beal to leave forever. And he's just been kind of stuck in mediocre land, waiting until he could hold the Wizards over a barrel. And now he's in this spot where he's got more leverage than anybody else in the league, which is pretty crazy if you think about his status in the league right now. And you're wondering, okay, could he be the piece that gets you over the top? Because we looked at this last playoff run, and we certainly saw a Miami Heat team that struggled to score in the finals. Like, that was so obvious. It was hard for them to crack 100 against the Nuggets. To Miami's credit, they were able to, I guess, stifle the Nuggets as much as possible, as a high-scoring machine can, but they were just so clogged up and couldn't get any baskets. So if you get a guy as proven as Bradley Beal, who's, probably one of the most talented scorers in the league, it does lift you up. But the thing that's interesting about it for Miami is they got to look at this, and this is the crazy thing about having not much of an off season. You kind of got to get right to it with these decisions, with the draft coming up next week. Is that your home run cut? Do you have another move that can coincide? There's some talk about, would a Kristaps Porzingis and Bradley Beal deal be there together? I mean, that to me would almost be a little bit more attractive. The idea that you got multiple pieces from the Wizards to lift up your deal a little bit more. I don't know if Bradley Beal by itself gets done. And look, I also don't want to get, but I do think that the Heat need to figure this thing out fairly soon, because they also need to figure out what's out there as far as the Damian Lillard market is concerned and where things go from there, because, Damian Lillard is on the record saying if there was a team that he wanted to get traded to, it would be Miami. That being said, he's in a spot right now where he's doing the wishy-washy. He's honestly doing the Bradley Beal, where it almost feels like he just likes to be wanted right now. He likes to have his name in rumors. So I don't know. The Blazers can know what they're losing with him. I don't really understand the appeal of that all the time, where, people are trying to say, oh, I know what it could be out there. I know, and I've heard a lot of interviews with Bradley Beal about this, where he's like, I could go somewhere else, or I could be the man in Washington. And, this is not going to be that case. And I honestly feel like, just based on the social media that I've looked, it does feel like Wizards fans are kind of ready to go in another direction. It's not like this guy was the A1 day one star anyway. And then you add on top of it that he very clearly just used them for leverage to get this deal. And then now he wants immediately out as soon as he can get out. So I would kind of be a little bit sour at Bradley Beal too. That being said, no surprise, great relationship with Bam Adebayo. There was that one instance a couple of years ago, because it feels like we've been talking about the Bradley Beal thing forever. It really is one of these situations where Heat fans are so familiar with the Bradley Beal trade rumors. I would say only like maybe Rudy Gay has been in more Heat trade rumors than Bradley Beal. Twitter liking himself in jerseys. Bam Adebayo one time wore his jersey after a Wizards Heat game, wore it backwards. I'm like, I've never seen a player do that before. So obvious that he wants to be here. Has a good relationship with D Wade. Is one of the guys who got the D Wade jersey on the Last Dance tour. He is 30 years old, so you're kind of on that come up of like, all right, not past his prime, but he's not like. It's not like he's super young, still plenty of years and tread on the tire. But you do got to be a little concerned that he's had his fair share of injuries after being a pretty durable guy for the most part in his career, and now has been dealing with stuff. Now, does that have to do with the Wizards not being in contention? I don't know. That's another one that's hard to say. But I would say, like, for me, look, I'm not going to hate the Heat getting Bradley Beal. I certainly would understand it. For a couple of reasons. They do need a more proven scoring entity in the playoffs. Look, they lost their second leading scorer going into the postseason this year. And for Tyler, I'm sure the Heat look at it from this standpoint. This year was kind of a tough one because that was a fluke injury. Definitely an unnecessary dive, but a fluke injury where Tyler broke his hand. So you didn't have him for this playoff run. You didn't really have him in last year's playoff run because he got hurt by the end of it. Very similar situation where he played in Game 7 against Boston, but really couldn't give you anything. Maybe he would have been ready if Miami did advance to the finals. He said that he would have. And also, just never felt like he had the perfect fit and start next to Miami. That starting lineup had its ups and downs. They had to figure some things out, like Kyle Lowry going to the bench. Just never quite had that situational fit. And I do think that Miami looks at Jimmy and Bam, and they wonder with Tyler, who does have good chemistry with Bam Adebayo on the court. They wonder, all right, can this guy step up enough to help us contribute to winning? I thought this year was unfair to say, no, they're only better right now because there's no Tyler Hero. I thought that was a totally unfair thing for Heat fans to go out there and accuse the team of because, just because a guy's not there, he doesn't really have his chance to defend his basketball case to anybody else. He's on the sidelines, and the only evidence on the other side is the team is making this incredible run right now. So, 1 + 2 equals Tyler Hero being gone means the Heat are better, So I don't know that to be the case, but I just think that for the Heat, for me, it's just more of an age thing. I think Tyler Hero himself had said after the injury that he knew whatever he did in the regular season didn't really matter, that it was going to be all about what his playoff contributions were. They were 0, and you don't know, and that's just an unfortunate bad stroke of luck. So it's the natural place everyone's going to go. When you look around the Miami Heat and you see Jimmy Butler and you see Bam Adebayo, and they both have to give all this effort on defense, and you need somebody to get you buckets, and you're relying on Gabe Vincent, and you're relying on Max Strus, and you're relying on Caleb Martin to get you those buckets. Sometimes it works out for you, like in the Eastern Conference Finals. Caleb was amazing. But I do think that Miami, is the hot destination for that bona fide scorer who can come in here and add that punch to Miami, and especially send some relief for Jimmy and Bam, who are also your defensive anchors in a lot of ways. So that's going to be the big focus on it. The Bradley Beal thing from Shams today, though, was, it was such an interesting report from the standpoint of it very much felt like it was very agent-y is what I would say. Like this is this is the report from Shams today. Wizards, new front office leaders, and Bradley Beal have a mutual understanding that they intend to work to find a trade that would send the 3-time All-Star guard to a contender if the team elects to reset the organization, which is like, obviously you would, what are we reporting this for then? It's unclear whether the Wizards will ultimately decide upon a rebuild or if they find an acceptable trade, but sources said both sides are working amicably to find a path the path with the 2023 draft looming on June 22nd. Sources said in the matter that the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks are expected to be prominent suitors for Beal if he reaches the market, which is not a surprise. Miami's in there. Miami is always in Bradley Beal's preferred teams' destinations. This we know. I mean, it's nothing new. This has been a thing that Heat fans have kind of danced around for a while. And, the question is he a whale anymore? Is Bradley Beal still in that orca status for Miami? Can they make him a whale? Can they make him an orca? Do they have the wherewithal to turn Bradley Beal essentially into what is a better entity? Like when Jimmy Butler came here, Jimmy Butler was an orca. He was a killer, as Pat Riley would say. But I definitely think that his stock has risen in a big, big way. And you think about the type of danger you could have with a guy of Bradley Beal's credentials working with a guy like Bam Adebayo. Sheesh. I mean, that could be something truly, truly dynamic with this team. But get used to it, Heat fans. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be out there on the horizon, and we'll be touching on all of them as the days go by. But the Bradley Beal one was the one with the most deets here early on, as the Heat are, going to be the Heat are going to be in the mix for all these teams. Any free agent, I think, is going to look at the Heat for a couple of reasons. One, they were a contender. Two, people see the need of a couple of things. One, a big-time scoring guard, and two, a little bit more size. So I think you'll see a lot of those things kicked around, bantied about in the coming days. And it's an exciting time. This is a fun thing. The Miami Heat were 3 wins away from a title, so what going to be those pieces they could add to get them over the top?